Ophthalmology's the topic. Guess who has been proved myopic? And to make it more emphatic, Holly's also astigmatic. With her glasses, praise the Lord, now the kid will see the board. The reason Roger Frank was missed, he saw his ophthalmologist, who saw he saw, so here's the twist. When seen, he saw and was dismissed. She now wears glasses, as you know. Spectacular is she. The doctor who prescribed them, J. Jacobson, MD, said, let me check them in a month. I want you back here then. I may not be no coward, but I'll see you again. The fight just wasn't fair at all. How can a fellow cope with what's too small to even see without a microscope? You tiny influenza germ, you took him by surprise. Why don't you pick on someone who is somewhat more your size? Nobody likes a bully, and you're one in reverse. So sneaky you're invisible, and that is even worse. The Franks have long been great believers in keeping children home with fevers. Affected by this policy, most recently was Roger E., who stayed at home with games and toys, but mostly with the Hardy Boys. What kept Roger out of school till his return today, as the farmer said as he stood in his field and looked at his bales of hay, I've planted you and grown you, and now I have pneumonia. Though it's been true since days of old, the common cold's been called a cold. Does this make sense? It does seem not. We don't get cold with colds, but hot. She wasn't feeling well at all, with runny eyes and stuffy nose. Outside, the temperature will fall when it gets cold, but hers just rose. She had a cold, and all it got her was moister, drippier, and hotter. Whatever the linguistic lack, today she's over it and back. Roger had an aching head, which made him cross and crabby. Please don't make him take gym today. We trust he won't grow flabby. The communistic common cold, which knows no class or rank, came rushing in to take its toll this week on Roger Frank. His nose was red instead of right. When cold germs of the world unite, there's one thing that is very certain. One's chest feels like an iron curtain. And in his case, so you're apprised, that's where the germs collectivized. The cold made Roger drip and trickle. It hammered him, and he was sickle. Roger stayed home, for he had a sore throat. So you might call this a swallowtail note. A bunch of the boys were whooping it up in the good old Thelma L. On Tuesday there, but an empty chair stood silently as well. And I must report why one was short when you counted the files and ranks. What kept him away from the school that day was the headache of Roger Franks. When a child is feeling nauseous, feverish, and lacking sass, if a mother's duly cautious, teacher has a smaller class. The taxi driver drove his cab to the garage in panic. It's backfiring badly, he told the chief mechanic. You're better off than Roger Frank, the latter answered back. Poor Roger has a hacking cough, not just a coughing hack. She couldn't come to school this week, and here's the reason why. The child was stone cold sober, but her temperature was high. She stayed home a half a day, for her headache began at noon. So we composed a half note to say she was out of tune. Did all those old Egyptian dads write notes upon papyrus when all our young Egyptian lads stayed home to nurse a virus? Or did they send cuneiforms on tablets made of clay which frequently the absentee did not in fact outweigh. If forced to carry notes like these, there weren't many absentees.